In New York City, there's a sinister hotel with a room that's never rented out to guests, room 1408. Since the hotel opened in 1912, this room has been the site of many bizarre deaths, claiming a total of 56 lives. The ways these people died were truly horrific, ranging from self-mutilation to jumping out the window to hanging themselves. To prevent further tragedies, the hotel decided to permanently seal off this accursed room. However, a writer who specializes in paranormal stories became deeply intrigued by room 1408. Despite having visited haunted houses across the country, he had never actually seen a ghost with his own eyes. In his opinion, the hotel was just making up these ghostly tales to attract curious visitors and boost their occupancy rates. Seeking inspiration for his writing, he went to the hotel and insisted on staying in the infamous room 1408. The front desk staff tried their best to dissuade him, and even the hotel manager personally offered to switch him to a different room, but the writer's resolve could not be shaken. Left with no choice, the manager brought him to the office and pulled out a thick logbook detailing the gruesome fates of every person who had died in room 1408. Each case was spine-chilling, and the manager warned him that no one had lasted more than an hour in that room. Yet, instead of being deterred, the writer grew even more eager to stay there. Even when the manager tried to bribe him with a bottle of fine liquor, the writer wouldn't budge. With a heavy heart, the manager reluctantly handed over the room key. As the writer made his way to the 14th floor, he flipped through the logbook filled with grisly photos of the victims, utterly engrossed. Suddenly, he found himself inexplicably back at the elevator, but he brushed it off. He closed the book and walked purposefully towards room 1408. When he inserted the key and opened the door to the lone sealed room, he couldn't help but chuckle. Apart from the slightly elevated temperature and a few stains on the floor, the room looked utterly ordinary. The only mildly unsettling thing was the odd painting on the wall, but there was nothing overtly terrifying about it. He absent-mindedly grabbed a tissue to wipe his sweat and opened the window to look outside, where everything seemed perfectly normal. Just then, the room's radio crackled to life, startling him. He turned around and saw that the bed had been made, as if someone had been in the room. He searched everywhere but found nothing. By chance, he noticed that the toilet paper had been replaced with a fresh roll. The room began to grow increasingly hot, and it seemed like the air conditioning was malfunctioning. He picked up the phone to call the front desk and request maintenance. That's when things started to get creepy. Growing uneasy, he turned off the lights and used a UV light to inspect the room, revealing bloodstains everywhere. When he turned the lights back on, the painting on the wall was crooked again. Just as he straightened it, there was a knock at the door. The maintenance worker had arrived, but he adamantly refused to step inside the room, instead guiding the writer on how to fix the AC from the doorway. Fortunately, it wasn't a big problem and was quickly resolved. But when the writer turned around, the maintenance worker had vanished without a trace. He quickly shut the door and sat on the bed, taking a swig of alcohol. Suddenly, the radio came on again, but this time, the numbers on display had turned into a countdown. The writer's ears started ringing, and he could no longer hear anything. Due to copyright restrictions, I can only share the story up to this point. This movie is an American film called 1408.